UCA downtown facility for the town hall with the governor today. It is my honor to be able to introduce him. I've had the privilege of getting the chance to work with the governor for many years, and he has been gracious enough to come to Conway today to share with us his vision on reorganization of our state government. And I would like for you to take this opportunity now to help me in welcoming him to Conway. We appreciate it, Governor. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy, and congratulations on your work with UCA. And I'm glad to be on the campus of UCA, even though I'm in one of the hideaways. This might be the right way to express it. Thanks for your hospitality, Kelly, for helping to arrange this. And today, I was looking for Senator Rayford is there, and thank you for joining us today. Any other members of the General Assembly here? I don't think so, but thank you, Jason. And we have some agency directors as well, in case I have challenges on some of the questions or issues you want to raise. But thanks for joining me. And you try to do these town hall conversations, and it's hard to find the right time. This is not the best time in the world, but thank you for making the effort to be here. And we're going to have a series of these, 4 across the state over the next month. So it'll be in the Northeast, Northwest. And but we wanted to have the first one right here in Conway, one of the fastest growing areas in Arkansas, with 3 great higher education institutions here, a great school district, and very proud of what's happening here in Faulkner County. And I just wanted to talk about some of the items of agenda that's going to be in the legislative session next year. And I want to get your feedback on it, but also this is for you to raise any issue that you want to raise. And so some of you already had conversations with me about different matters. So just because I talk about my agenda doesn't mean that you should be talking about your agenda. You're welcome to it. In fact, a smart politician would say your agenda is more important than mine. But I hope that they coincide at some point as well. And so with that, I wanted to put out about 4 different areas of importance I believe that should be addressed next year in the General Assembly. The first one is teacher pay. And we have raised teacher pay over the last 4 years twice, and compared to our region, we're not bad. We're sort of the midpoint, but it's very important that we continue to raise our teacher pay in Arkansas. It's foundational to good education program, and so I'm asking the Arkansas General Assembly to raise teacher pay as a priority next year, $4,000 over the next 4 years. So it'll be $1,000 each year over the next 4 years, going from $31,800, I believe it is, to $36,000. And if we do that, then we would be the highest in the region. And I think that's a good plan, and that is the minimum teacher salary that obviously, I'm sure Conway is in that case where you already have higher teacher pay here, but that still impacts, I think, over 70 school districts, just the minimum pay, and it also, I have confidence, will cause all school districts to look at their teacher pay and incrementally increase it as well. So I think it's a very important initiative that will be a priority for the next session of the General Assembly. Secondly is our government transformation. And I've got a few graphics on this one. And as you can see, this is what it looks like right now, where you have 42 different cabinet agencies reporting directly to me as governor. You combine that with 200 different boards and commissions that are in the mix there. It leads to a chaotic organizational chart, if you can call it that. And it's really not an effective management organization. And so I'm proposing to redesign that from 42 different cabinet agencies down to 15. And this is what it would look like under the proposed restructure. As you can see, it looks a little bit different. And part of that, someone illustrated it this way, that if each cabinet person had 1 hour of my time during the course of the week, that would be 42 hours every week. And obviously it doesn't leave you a whole lot of time for anything else, plus the 200 boards and commissions. So it's really important for management purposes. If you look at, let's go through some of the details as to what the new structure would look like. You know, you have the Department of Agriculture, Education, Health, that are all significantly the same as they are now. But in agriculture, we'll have natural resources that will be combined with it that strengthens agriculture. Education will be both K through 12, but also will be higher education. It will be the School for the Blind, the School for the Deaf that's in there, the Dr. Martin Luther King Commission, which is an education mission. Very important for higher education, since I'm here on the campus of UCA, that the Department of Higher Education will have its independent authority reporting to the coordinating board, and that is not, and the State Board of Education will continue to concentrate on K through 12. And so I think that will be a greater way to coordinate from career education, which will be a separate division within the Department of Education, to coordinate and elevate career education within the traditional education environment. Whenever you look at the 200 boards and commissions, you're putting those under labor and licensing. That will be a group of those, and those that are health related will be under the Department of Health, like the State Board of Nursing, the State Medical Board. All these health related ones would be under the Department of Health. But that allows for a greater coordination and support for these agencies that are out there that are providing incredible service to their industry, and they have their own special revenues, and that will remain the same, but they'll have more support, and as time goes on, hopefully be some efficiency achieved in terms of space, hearing rooms, and those type of things that we could share better. I'm going to get bogged down here, so I'll try to move quickly because I want to turn it over for your questions and comments. Public safety is really one of the great opportunities here with the Arkansas State Police, with the Arkansas Crime Laboratory, with Arkansas Law Enforcement Training Academy, with the all the other law enforcement agencies. I was trying to name them, and I think I just went blank on one, the one that does the statistics. But all of those will be combined into a Department of Public Safety, and it will also include, very importantly, ADAM, emergency management, which is a part of our response capability. And so that will be under Department of Public Safety. The Department of Commerce markets our state outwardly, but also has some responsibilities that will include Economic Development Commission. It will also have banking, securities, and insurance, all within the Department of Commerce. In energy and environment, we'll take our Oil and Gas Commission with our environmental quality, bring them in together under energy and environment. Department of Human Services, Cindy Gillespie's here, and that will remain substantially the same, although the pre-K part, the ABC program that has the kindergarten part, will go over to the Department of Education and sends a signal that education is complete and it can coordinate that better. Department of Military remains the same significantly. Department of Transportation Shared Services is totally new. That brings our procurement, our human resources, our IT functions all together to serve the different agencies. That's under a private sector model. Corrections and the community corrections has been merged together. Finance and administration remains the same. It's just that some of the shared services comes out here into the transformation and shared services. Inspector General is totally new. And I think in this time frame that we have, this is very important that we have the executive branch have a greater audit function and ability to make sure that we do everything that we can to reduce, and minimize, and eliminate abuse, and waste of taxpayers' dollars. And that's what an inspector general does. We've never had that in the state of Arkansas before. We've had it concentrated on Medicaid, but we've never had it with a broader responsibility. And that will start in a small fashion. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it small, but it'll have a function that will be broader than just simply Medicaid. Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. This combines Parks and Tourism with Heritage, which both manage state parks and historical facilities across Arkansas. And then the Department of Veterans Affairs is important to maintain its commitment to our veterans, so it will have its independent department. Very importantly, we are doing this without new resources and new staff. And so you wonder, well, how are you going to have a new Secretary of Commerce? Well, it has to come from within. We're not going to be creating new layers of bureaucracy. We're not going to be creating new positions and new government. The whole design is efficiencies and better management and better delivery of services. So that's the transformation. We'll come back and you can ask questions on that, but let me finish the agenda here. So we talked about teacher pay, transformation, and then tax cuts. And tax cuts, you might say, well, we're concerned about the revenue side, making sure we have enough to support education and public safety. But Mike Preston just came back. We're trying to recruit industry here. In Conway, we've done well. We have to compete with other states in keeping capital here and expansions here because every industry has options. And we talked to, we're competing with another state on locating a new industry here in Arkansas. The accountants got a hold of it and said it would cost $700,000 more for the company located in Arkansas per year than another state. Now we got there, talked down on the ledge a little bit and said it's not that bad, and time to try to decrease that amount. But it does make a difference as to what our tax structure is in Arkansas. We're the highest in the region on income tax. My plan is to reduce that down to 5.9%. From 6.9 to 5.9%. That's very important that we do that. We'll wait for the numbers as to how quickly we can do that, but that's a goal over the next 4 years. Tax cuts, and then finally is, and I'm anxious to get your all's feedback on this, is transportation and infrastructure. I spent a little time just driving around Conway a little bit before we got here. You've invested a lot of city dollars in your street structure, but you're a growing area, the needs are significant, and you magnify that across the state of Arkansas. We have needs for better maintenance of our highways and to build more highways that will serve our citizens, particularly the farm and market roads. And so we have got to be able to invest more into our highways. It's very challenging because it takes money to build highways. And so I'll be asking the General Assembly to approve a ballot initiative for the voters that they can say up or down on for 2020. And so that's a big lift for our legislators. I'm asking them to do that. If you're going to build more highways, if you're going to put more money into maintenance, you have to have a revenue stream for that. And so whether that's the increase in the diesel tax or the gas tax or some other mechanism there, I want the voters to be able to say yes or no on that, but I want the legislature to refer that initiative out to the voters for their approval in 2020. So those are 4 big agenda items for the next legislative session. We want to build momentum for it. I want to be able to take my case to the public and get their support for it, or to hear their questions. We've actually had some good comments that, well, you ought to tweak this, you ought to change that, or something else needs to be done. So that's the purpose of making sure that I get out in the public, that I hear the concerns they have, and that we're responsive to that. So with that, I want to thank you for being here, and let me turn it over for a true purpose of a town hall meeting, which is to take any questions or comments that you might have. Yes.
Well, I represent the Ozark Society, and I know you are a supporter of the Buffalo River. I know you've floated it, and you probably value it as much or as anybody in this room. And my question is, there's a big debate going on, of course, and there's a moratorium that's ending next year. Do you intend to continue that into the future?
I expect that moratorium to continue. Yes, absolutely. And the moratorium is for large-scale production facilities for hogs in the Buffalo River watershed. And there is a moratorium, but I would expect that to continue, absolutely. The Buffalo River is a national treasure, but it's something that we're very proud of in Arkansas as being a national treasure. And, you know, it was carved out of farm country, and there's natural parts to being in farm country, but we want to take the steps necessary to make sure it's healthy and vibrant. Tourism is our #2 industry. So y'all have been real instrumental in raising issues in reference to Buffalo National River, and that's currently under ADEQ's environmental qualities review on the current permit, and we'll see where that goes.
Well, thank you.
See? Didn't have to be on my 4 agenda items. Thank you for coming here and raising that issue.
Governor, first of all, thank you for coming. We're sorry about the rain because that no doubt has an effect on people being able to get out easily. But a couple of things on the agenda. Number one, roads and infrastructure. It's absolutely critical for us here. I'm definitely supportive, as you know, I've supported some of the efforts in the past that weren't successful coming out of the House. So I'll be there for that issue. 2 things for this county that's important. Number one is the project in Mayflower, Arkansas for an overpass over the railroad. It's become a safety issue, as you know. I believe that project is somewhere around $24–25 million. And so we just want to make sure that everybody continues to focus on that. The other one that I think is critical for the future is the Highway 89 corridor that you've had talking about coming out of Camp Robinson all the way through southern Faulkner County over to the airport arena, connecting back up near the Arkansas River. That's had a lot of work put into it, and we definitely would like to consider that. One thing I would like you to speak to that I've been getting emails about, when you talk about teacher pay and what we're wanting to do with that, there's a side issue that's bubbling up out here that I'd like for you to be able to speak to calm what is apparently an unfounded notion. I continue to respond to emails from teachers that are worried that somehow you or the legislature is attempting to go after funds in the teacher retirement pension plan. Now, I personally know no one that is attempting to do that. Would you speak to that so that could be on record?
Thank you, Senator Rayford. And yes, in all of our transformation efforts, there was not any serious consideration given to merging the retirement systems in Arkansas. That was not part of my transformation efforts, never have been. The teacher retirement system serves our teachers very well. It's well run, and it's going to remain independent as it is now. It's a little bit troubling to me, and it sounds like it might be to you as well, that there's all these rumors out there that somehow I'm going to dismantle teacher retirement system, I'm going to merge it with all the other agencies. And it's obviously not part of this plan, and I have no expectation that the legislature is going to address it in any way at all. So that's off the table. They need to relax. We're going to make sure that that's a strong system for them. And your other highway needs, thanks for advocating for your Senate district and for our state. That's just an example of where, you know, we need to have a highway program that has money for the maintenance that we're so far falling behind, but also we need to have some money in there for new construction. I want our state to grow, and if you're going to grow, you've got to make sure that you've got the access. And I think Mike will tell you that one of the factors is if you're not on a 4-lane road, you eliminate a lot of industries and trying to recruit them on a 4-lane highway. So everybody wants one of those, and we can't build that for everybody. But in the major corridors that we have that's already been approved, we need to make sure that we can continue to invest and have some money for that new construction. Thank you. So I know we've got the towing recovery board. Let's hear from you all as to, so this is an example, if I might give an introduction, to a very important board, towing and recovery board, that makes sure that our towing operators out there have an appropriate license and bonded, consumer protection of the public. You have your own special revenues there. You have a very small staff, if I remember.
We do.
But so the transformation impacts you. So could you speak to it?
I think I can. So, our board, as the governor pointed out, is primarily concerned with health and safety. As these large tow trucks go up and down the road, we want to ensure that they're doing so in a safe manner, and that the working on the side of the highway is a very dangerous place to work, and that we're doing that safely for the motoring public as well as for our industry. And then also, we also represent complaints for overcharging or misuse and abuse of our industry. We work very hard in that. One of the things we have struggled with in the time that I've been on the board, and I'm just entering to my second appointment, is access to some of the broader forms of government and peers, all kind of being housed together. It's a little bit dispersed in the licensing and board community now. And so as we gathered recently as a board and looked at evaluating the plan that the governor had put forward, we saw pretty immediately the ability for us to access up and down the chain of government greater resources, from everything from being grouped under a group of folks that do a lot of the same functions that we have, so we can go talk to those folks, we can share resources and insights in that, but also just having a more direct line into the governor's office to raise issues and awareness, particularly in important and timely matters. Anytime we congest up the highways, we're costing money not only to the taxpayers and the people trying to get home, but also to business that is so vital that routes through our state. So we're pretty optimistic about it. In fact, our board voted with unanimous support to support the governor in this, and so we find it to be a very positive and forward-thinking initiative.
Well, so the Towing and Recovery Board will be under the Department of Labor and Licensing. That is a good fit, but that's a perfect example. Where's your office?
It is in North Little Rock off North Hills.
North Little Rock is their office, and so just think about it. You've got probably 60 boards and commissions that'll be maybe under the Department of Labor and Licensing, scattered perhaps all around central Arkansas, and that's fine. But over time, I expect the Secretary of Labor and Licensing to sit down and say, are you all happy in your location? What's the pros and cons of it? How much is the rent? Whenever that lease expires, do you want to look at going into a larger building where you're going to be housed with 20 other professional boards and commissions that you can interact with, and where the public can go and say, this is where you go and deal with your professional license. So those are the kind of conversation. It might be that they need to have some IT support. You might lose an executive director. You need to hire somebody. What's the personnel support that can be given to you? And so you're there in a collegial way with more that serve the same purpose. And this is just for education purposes. So you've got your special revenues that pay for the salary of your executive director.
Yes, sir.
And so it's important that you all have that self-funded mechanism and assurance that you're going to have your regulatory authority, and we're not going to be taking your money.
Yeah, well, and so we talked quite a bit about that, and although our funds are gathered from the business operators in the state, we consider those likened to tax dollars with our fiduciary responsibility over them. We try not to waste, we try not to be frivolous in our spending, and so access to some of those upline resources really helps us with that. We just had to take out another lease on another part of a building to expand to have hearings where we could visit with people appropriately. And so, just as the governor said, having access to that in a centralized place would be awesome for us.
Thank you for your support of that. Thank you for doing it. What else? Well,
So Governor, 2003, there was an effort to merge the Department of Health and the Department of Human Services, and it was a pretty testy debate. This time around, it seems there's a very collegial tone to the whole process. What have you done differently that's made this such a, it seems to be a very comfortable conversation to merge all these departments?
well, of course, a big part of it is making important, good decisions like not trying to merge the Department of Health with the Department of Human Services. That's helpful. But, I mean, the other side of it is, and I applaud Amy Fetcher, who's my transformation officer, but also our transformation advisory board, that's private sector, and as well as some legislators, others that are engaged in it, that, you know, we've been working on this for a long time, probably about a year. And so making sure that everybody had a part of it, everybody knew that it was coming, and it was really an acceptance of we're going to have transformation of government and we need it. It's just a matter of where we're going to be aligned. So I think that had an impact. It just reflects I've got some incredible people working in state government. The change is hard, but they're recognizing the importance of it. They're embracing it. They're ready to go on it. And I think there's a recognition that if we don't transform and change and utilize technology, then we're not going to be serving our taxpayers well. So now, ask me that question after the legislature meets, and I might be a little more bloodied at that point.
Governor, I'll take another opportunity, man, to tell you too, I want to thank, since Mike is here with you, but obviously you know that Kimberly Clark has made mention that they are considering the possibility of moving their location. And I just wanted to thank you for not only your personal involvement, but for Mike Preston. I know you've had many conversations with Kimberly Clark, and our community is doing all that we can to let them know we want them to stay here. We want them to keep it open. And we appreciate the effort that you're making, not only for new opportunities, but for help us to maintain those jobs. And obviously, I think we're all in a waiting mode, but I just wanted to say thank you. I've been in communication with the chamber, which, by the way, many of them are out of town in a meeting today. And so we just want to say thank you for what you're doing on behalf of our community on that.
We'll continue to do so. Kimberly Clark is important for Central Arkansas, and we'll compete and we'll work hard to keep those jobs here. We're fighting for competing with Wisconsin, and we'll see how that goes. But the other one is Axiom, and this was very important whenever Axiom was acquired by another larger investor group out of New York. And it was the first day that investor group came in to meet with the Axiom employees in a town hall meeting right here in Conway. And I came in there to welcome them and greet them and say welcome to Arkansas. And I'm really excited about their commitment to Axiom under their new ownership. And I think that that's going to be a good opportunity for us, but we want to continue to support them, and hopefully they'll grow their business here.
Governor, since you're on UCA soil this morning, and you've mentioned Axiom, I can't thank you enough on behalf of UCA for what you've done for us as it relates to cybersecurity, our cyber range, our coding academy, entrepreneurship. You've been a champion for us, and those are really good programs for us, so thank you.
Well, it's been a good partnership. You all have done great with that, and your innovation is terrific. I laugh because I talk about Arkansas is going to have a cyber range at UCA that's going to be available through AETN. And I might be talking to technologists and they look at me and say, what's a cyber range? And so I get to explain it to them. But it's really cutting edge what we're going to be offering in Arkansas from an educational standpoint. UCA is leading the way there. All right, so Cindy, our Director of Human Services, you got some news today. And so what's the report on Arkansas Works?
Arkansas Works, we are putting out our report today for the closures in Arkansas Works from last month for non-compliance. We had 15,000 cases that were closed at the end of the month, as of the 5th of the month, and of those 4,109 were due to non-compliance with the work requirement. We always have somewhere in the 10,000 to 15,000 range close every month because of higher income for a good portion, or move out of state, or other reasons. And so this is our second month with Arkansas Works work requirement. So we'll put that out today.
So, of course, the work requirement is those that are able-bodied, that are on the expanded Medicaid, must report that they're working or in training, going to school, trying to get a job skill. It allows us to refer them over to workforce services to look for a better job and provide assistance to them if they have a transportation need, if they don't have a job need. It allows us to get that kind of training and move them into the workforce. And as a result of just since it was June 1 that we put that into play, we've had, I think it's 1,500 people that have moved from unemployment into employment through this reporting requirement and through accessing additional services. So that's where the success story is. Who would do something like that? And so, but I asked her to give those numbers because 15,000 this month rolled off of all of Medicaid, and it illustrates the churn that is in there. People move out of state, they move up and get better jobs, their spouse gets insurance, so they no longer qualify, and so there's 15,000 that in 1 month? In 1 month, moved on. Now, of course, you had others that moved into the system, I presume. We might not have that statistic. But I don't think you can get too wrapped around the axle on the changes that are in there. These are good requirements that help people to get a job, and that's what we're focusing on.
If I could add, we had, for the month of September, we had 73,000 that were subject to work requirement. Almost 53,000, 52,714 met the requirement. So I think that is a story, as you just said, that gets lost a lot at the time. That's 52,000 of 73,000 met the requirement.
Those are good success stories. All right, so you got one last chance for questions, if anybody has anything, because we're going to call this to a close. I will be here to have a little tea there. I see a cookie there. Is that for us or is that for the group after us?
That's for you.
That's for us. All right. So we'll be around here to visit a little bit, answering questions, but I don't want to cut you off. Is there anything else that you want to raise today? Anybody? All right, well, I think this has been very helpful and good. We had some great comments here. And with that, I'll turn it back to Jeremy. Do you have any closing comment?
I appreciate you being here today, Governor, and I do want to invite everybody to stay around, visit. You have a rare opportunity to have the directors of the Commissioner of Education, you have the ADC Director, and Director Gillespie here from DHS. It's very rare to have this many of our agency directors at an event like this. So take advantage, visit with them, ask questions if you have some follow-up to the Governor. We do have some refreshments here for you as well, and we hope you enjoy our facility here. And on behalf of UCA, again, we appreciate you coming out and participating and engaging in the process today. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.